Howdy folks, Zapper here, aka Sean, and I'm just giving you guys another update for Next War Poland, the strategic surprise scenario. And we are currently in game turn 2. I have just completed the initiative, move, and combat phase, and I kind of wanted to capture what I could now because there's a lot. I mean, there's so much going on. I wanted to try to do like a complete turn and then capture it, but there's just a lot of stuff going on. So I kind of wanted to capture stuff while it's still fresh in my memory because, well, you know how it is when you get older and your memory goes, right? So you can see here on the strategic display, there's a lot of red marker or red dry erase on the plexi. So basically you can see I'm trying to get the Russian helicopters, or all the Russian helicopters, I'm trying to get those into Poland where they can be way more effective. Lithuania, obviously that fell, I think, during turn 1. Latvia fell. If you look way up here, you can see that Estonia has been, well, the military unit has been wiped out, so it's under a clearing marker now, so we got to see if we can capture the capital. Of course, you still have the province of Narva is still under a clearing marker from the previous turn. I have this marked right here. I did some cyber warfare, so there's the chit. I did some cyber warfare to help with that attack, because I did it in the exploit combat. When you do exploit combat, your unit receives a -2 column shift, or it receives a column shift 2 to the left. So it basically it's supposed to represent, hey, your forces have been in combat prior in the normal combat phase and they're kind of exhausted, right? So that's why you give the 2 column shift left. So what I did is I used the headquarters support. I used Soviet artillery, which gives a column shift to the right. The efficiency levels were the same, so that ended up being a wash. But with cyber warfare, you can give yourself a column shift to the right. So the cyber warfare was it was successful. So basically there was no column shifts. It ended up being a net 0 for the column shifts. So it was like 15 to 1 odds or something. So they were finally able to defeat that last Estonian unit. And we'll see if if the clearing marker is going to be generous at the end of the turn. So you kind of see down here that, let me see, well, this is the path of the helicopters, all the choppers. What is that? That's the 6th Guards Division, I think. They move from here. Of course, there's the Western Military District, and there's some artillery They also move from that province as well. So we've basically what I'm doing is I'm funneling guys in from Lithuania, Latvia, not Estonia yet, but all the guys that were here, I'm funneling them into Poland or Kaliningrad so they can start joining the fight there, because that's the more important fight, right? At least for the Soviets, or excuse me, the Russians. I've also started moving naval units south because they're gaining control of the different sections of the Baltic. So, I mean, they start out with control of the Gulf of Finland. And I'm still not 100% sure how these naval rules go as far as sea zone control. To me, it's still confusing. It's almost like trying to do calculus. I understand algebra, but calculus is something else. So anyway, the surface action group started up here, and on the movement turns, it's just slowly moved south. I had these 2 divisions. It looks like the 106th Airborne and the 98th Airborne Division. I had them air assault over into Gotland. And so they've both done that, and then they'll attempt to clear that in subsequent turns. So that ought to be interesting to see if they can get Gotland. So basically right now the Soviets are in a good position as far as the naval game goes, and as far as my understanding of the naval game, because again, the naval game to me is pretty confusing, especially when you're trying to do take control of stuff, because you got to roll for inshore boxes, and then you got to roll for at sea boxes, and then you got all sea hex. I mean, it's totally confusing. One of these days, and I've read it I don't know how many times. I think I just need somebody to walk me through it someday. NATO, I wanted to move these guys, this carrier battle group and this amphibious group that's full of Marines. I wanted to move them into the southern Baltic. So I did my roll for the carrier battle group first, and I could have moved them there, but they had a strike 2 marker on them, and I was like, you know what, that's really not worth it, because this surface action group right here wouldn't necessarily have easy pickings, but I don't want to risk an entire carrier battle group to it's not going to focus. I don't want to risk that carrier battle group with a strike 2 marker. And had they had a strike 1 marker, I probably would have moved them, but I think I was being conservative, even though the NATO forces are really getting their butts kicked. So, all right, let's go over to the operational map. So we'll start down here. So again, you can see a lot of dry erase, a lot of movement going on. So who do we have here? That is the Northwest. Yeah, Northwest. Yeah, got off. There we go. The Northwest commands for the Belarusians. They're moving in, taking ground. Western Command, they're moving in, taking ground. Of course, they're under clearing markers, so they're going to be there. They could be there for a while, but again, they're advancing, and you can move around a city area, or city areas. You can move around them, you can bypass them, but then your supply will not trace through it. So you kind of need to capture and clear city areas so that you can trace supply. So that's one of the few things that's actually slowing the Russians down, is the fact that we have to capture and clear all these towns, or clear and capture, whichever way you want to say it. So again, there was a Polish unit there. I believe it was I want to say it was the 18th Recon. I don't remember which unit it was, but there was a Polish unit there. Okay, so they've been... the 58th Division just basically wiped those guys out, so they're done. So now we're going to go ahead and... Let me see, that's been captured. Yeah, I don't think there's any... Yeah, there's nothing for them to do there but continue to advance. But you know what? Honestly, I didn't even think about this. We might not be able to trace supply, so I'll have to look at that. We might have, because these two cities are not cleared, so I'll have to take a look at that. Might have made a mistake there, but we'll see. So we had the 16th Division, 1st Brigade, 16th Division. They were there, and they were, during their movement phase, they moved back. The only thing that saved them was the fact that this top unit here is got a strike 1 marker. It's already reduced. And then, if you guys remember, during the random events roll, the Allies got to put an out of supply marker on any one unit. So they chose the 74th Guards Brigade 41st Division to put the out of supply marker on. So it's probably a good move. So that basically bought those guys time so that they could move from here to here. So now hopefully They'll be able to maybe, they're just going to, basically it's going to be a delaying action. They're going to slow down the Russians. This headquarters, I think, was here, so they moved back. The airfield has a strike 1 marker on it, and this headquarters has a strike 1 marker and a detection marker. So that's what all that mess is right there. Let me see what else. What else do we have? So the 2nd Brigade, 1st Cav, they were here, and the Soviets launched, or the Russians launched, a big offensive with these guys here to try and take out the 2nd Brigade. And the way I look at it, and I think I've kind of touched on it in the previous video, is like, you know, the Russians, because there's so few U.S. units on the board, you know, they're gonna go for those, because it's, you know, it's like a moral victory. If you can take out some Americans, it's going to be a moral victory, right? So, because you know how the Americans are as far as tolerating losses, and you know, our ego and all that kind of stuff gets involved. So it would be like a huge military plus moral victory if they could take out any U.S. forces. So they, right here, there was a big fight. It was, I think, these 3 brigades. How many brigades we got? Yeah, we got 3 brigades here. We threw in this artillery up here. We threw in this headquarters support. There might have been even, yeah, there was some more rocket artillery. We threw in, the Russians threw in a couple of strike fighters. The Americans responded with, I think, some, let me see, with this Apache helicopter support. Also flew in a B-52 bomber to help support it. So when it was all said and done, 1st Brigade or 2nd Brigade took a step loss. And then when it was their movement, they decided, you know what, we're not going to be able to hold this urban area. So they basically did a retrograde maneuver, or if you want to say that in English, they retreated, right? Americans don't retreat. We just do retrograde operations. So they moved back here. The 2nd ACR, which is right here, they started in Germany, and we were finally able to, well, they started way over here, and during their movement phases, the 2nd ACR moved to there. So now their 2nd ACR, Armored Cavalry Regiment, is going to bolster the 2nd Brigade, 1st Cav. The 173rd Airborne came in from Germany. We had these Polish units, 11th Division, 10th Brigade of whatever. They all came from the west side of the map. And so I've got these, you see these tokens here. I just got these today. I ordered these from Litco. So these, if the Russians can capture, there's 3 spots. So we've got 1, 2, and then the 3rd one up there. Those are like objectives for the Russians. So it's easier. I had them marked on the map with dry erase, but those actually stand out a little bit better. So that's part of the reason. And of course, I got these tokens here, and I missed the map, and I bought some red ones too. So I have blue for the good guys and red for the bad guys. So just little things to make the gaming experience a little bit nicer. Had this group of Polish units. They were over to the west. They moved in. So the Soviets, during their turn, they actually advanced, what is the 2nd Guards Division? I moved them all the way to here. Now, the Polish forces are trying to blow this bridge and this bridge. This bridge has got the strike 2 marker on it. This bridge has got the strike 1 marker on it. And I stopped the Soviets, or the Russians, short of taking that bridge because, number one, I have to capture this town and clear it in order to be able to trace supply. So I didn't want to get them onto the other side of the bridge and have the bridge get blown up, and then they'd be in this whole out of supply situation. So that's why I stopped them. They could have moved forward because this unit was here and they moved to here. So I could have moved this unit all the way to here, but that's kind of why I stopped short. The bridge probably will get blown. but we'll see. But as you can see, I've got the Central Military District moving west, and so basically, and it even says in the designer's notes for the game, like if you, in order for the NATO forces to win, you have to be able to hold the Russians to the Wisla River, and this is the Wisla, Visla. I'm not sure how to. It's one of the two, right? So this is the Visla. So that's going to be the thing, is to try to hold the Soviets there, and it's not looking good at the moment. But that is basically a quick recap of the initiative move and combat phase, and I will soon be going into the second strikes phase and then the basic move and combat. So there'll be another combat phase after this, but that's the update for now. So you all be amazing.